Hello friends, welcome to Defense IAS Academy. Today we are going to see about Gupta dynasty, which is called as the golden age of peace and enlightenment in India. The Gupta period is mainly from 319 CE to 467 CE. That was the rule of the reign of the Gupta period. The Gupta Empire or the Gupta period can be told as an ancient Indian empire which existed from 319 CE to 467 CE. It covered much of the Indian continent, and this period is considered as the golden age of India by the historians. The Gupta period or the Gupta dynasty. It is one of the most important periods in the Indian history. The rulers in the Gupta period were the rulers listed are just famous or the most noble rulers of the dynasty. So the rulers were Chandragupta I, who ruled from 319 to 335 AD. Then Samudragupta, who ruled from 335 to 380 AD. Then Chandragupta II, also known as Vikramaditya, who ruled from 380 to 415 AD. Then Kumaragupta, who ruled from 415 to 467 AD, and then Skandagupta, who ruled from 455 to 467 AD. So these are the noble rulers of the Gupta dynasty, and this dynasty lasted for more than 200 years in Magadha and over a greater part of northern India. And this period is referred to as a classical age or golden age of ancient India. The founder of the Gupta period is Sri Gupta. The king Sri Gupta founded the Gupta dynasty, and the Ghatotkacha succeeded the Sri Gupta and he inherited the title of Maharaja. This map shown in the left side, it shows the Gupta Empire. Here you can see that the inner portion where I am highlighting, this is the core part of the Gupta Empire. It's the core India which was under the Chandragupta I. The border kings, the others, these are all like these portions. They were the border kings who were under the Samudragupta, who actually extended the Gupta Empire. So there was also a southern campaign for the Samudragupta, which is shown in this particular region. Then yeah, you can also see that there is an conquered part of the forested tribes. In this particular portion, there is a conquered part of forested tribes, and you also have an western the Sakas in the western region. You have the Sakas, or also called as western satrapas. This area was conquered by Chandragupta II, and this area, the western satrapas or the shakas or the saka, they had support from the Vakatakas dynasty also at that time. So you can see the other this map also shows the other kingdoms in India which were outside the Gupta Empire too. So mainly we can say that the three rulers Chandragupta, Samudragupta and Chandragupta-II and were the prominent rulers of the Gupta Empire who ruled basically the regions that is shown in the map, and Samudragupta was the one who's like most extensive, and he formed the base or he extended the base of the Gupta Empire and to empire to the like the fullest extent. The Chandragupta II also added the empire territories primarily in the western part of the India, that is the Saka area. The Chandragupta II added that western empire territories to the Gupta dynasties. Okay, so that is with the pictorial or like how you see the Gupta dynasty in the map. Okay, so we can see the rulers one by one. So from 319 to 335 AD, it was Chandragupta I who ruled the Gupta dynasty. He was the first and important king of Gupta dynasty, and he gained the title called as Maharajadi Raja, called as King of Kings, Maharajadi Raja. And he started the Gupta era in the year 319 to 320 AD. He ruled over the Saketa, that is Ayodhya, then the Prayaga, which is Allahabad, and Magadh. He made his kingdom more than a principality, and he married the Licchavi princess. After marriage, Chandragupta became the ruler of the Licchavi territories too, and the gold coins was a contribution of Chandragupta, and it had the portraits of Chandragupta and Kumara Devi, who was his wife, and the legend Lichyaviha. Their son Samudragupta is also described as the Lichavi Dauhitra, which means as Lichavi daughter's son in the Gupta inscription. So that's about the Chandragupta, who was the first ruler of the Gupta dynasty. The next king was Samudragupta, who ruled from 335 to 380 AD. He was he succeeded his father and ruled until 380 AD. The Samudragupta is the son of Chandragupta I, and an inscription Prayaga Prasasti composed by the Harisena provides the most detailed and authentic record of the reign of Samudragupta. He was a great conqueror according to the Prayaga Prasasti. Samuddragupta is also known by the name of Napoleon of India by V.A. Smith. He was called as the Napoleon of India by V.A. Smith because of his military campaigns and bravery and generalship. He believed in the policy of war and conquest. He acquired the title of Vikramanka and Kaviraj. He composed numerous poems of high merit, and some of his coins represent him playing veena. The Madura stone inscription of Chandragupta II describes Samudragupta as an exterminator of all kings, as someone who had no powerful enemy and as a person whose fame was tasted by the waters of four oceans. So that's the Samudragupta king. Our next ruler of Gupta dynasty is Chandragupta II, who ruled from 380 to 415 AD. Samudragupta nominated his prince, the prince Chandragupta II, who was born of Queen Datta Devi, as his successor. Chandragupta II is also known as Vikramaditya, the son of power, and he ruled from 380 to 415 AD. The Ramagupta, who ruled for a very short period, succeeded Samudragupta, but his younger brother Chandragupta II killed him and married his widow Dhruva Devi. And the Chandragupta II is known for extending the empire. Actually, he expanded the realms of Gupta dynasty westwards, defeating the Sakas of the Malwa, then the Gujarat and the Saurashtra, and in a campaign that was lasting till 409 AD. And he issued silver coins for the first time, and he is remembered for his patronage of learning and arts too. He built an Mehrali iron pillar near Qutub Minar in Delhi. The reign of Chandragupta II is also remembered for the influential style of Hindu art, literature, culture, and science. Some excellent works of Hindu art can be seen in the Dashavatara temple, which is a magnificent art of Gupta, the empire, or the Gupta period. And above all this, there was 9 famous scholars who were known as Navaratnas, or the 9 gems, who attended the court of the legendary Vikramaditya. The 9 gems, or the Navaratnas, is a term for the 9 extraordinary people who was part of the Chandragupta II's empire. They include the Kalidasa, who was an classical Sanskrit author who is often considered as ancient India's greatest playwright and dramatist. His plays and poetry are primarily based on Vedas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas. After him, it was Amara Sinha, who was a Sanskrit grammarian and poet from ancient India. He is one of the he's considered one of the Navaratna, or 9 gems of the Chandragupta empire. After him is the Dhanavantari. The Dhanavantari is the Hindu god of medicine and an avatar of Lord Vishnu. He has been the king of Varanasi, and he is mentioned in Puranas as the god of Ayurveda. Then we have the Varah Mihir. The Varah Mihir, also called as Varaha or Mihira, was an ancient Indian astrologer or astronomer, and who lived in the Ujjain. He was born in the Avanti region, and he roughly corresponds to the Malwa, or the Aditya Dasa. According to one of his works, he was educated at Kapiltaka. So that is the the person Varahamir, who was one of the 9 gems. Then you have Vararuchi. His name is associated with several literary and scientific texts in Sanskrit, and also with various legends in several parts of India. The Vararuchi is often identified with the Katyaryana. Uh, so so Vararuchi is one person or one gem of the Chandragupta II empire. Then we have the Velal Bhatt, Velal Bhatt. He was a Sanskrit author from ancient India. He also have contributed a lot of works to the Niti Pratipa, and he is included as a legendary of the Vikramaditya's court. Then we have the Ganta Karna, then you have the Shanku, and then Shapranaka, who were all legendary part or legendary members of the Chandragupta II empire. Then the Chinese pilgrim Fa Hien, who wrote the Fo Ki, also visited India at the time of Chandragupta II. Fa Hien was an Chinese Buddhist. He was one of the Chinese Buddhist and pilgrim who visited the India during his reign. He started his journey from China in 399 and reached India in 405 AD. During his stay in India, he stayed until 411. He went for a pilgrimage to Mathura, Kanauj, Kapila Vastu, Kushinagar, Vaishali, Patliputra, Kashi, and Rajagira. And he made lot of observations about the empire and the empire conditions, and he was always pleased with the administration of Chandragupta II. Next, after Chandragupta II, was Kumaragupta, who ruled from 415 to 467 AD. Chandragupta II was succeeded by his son Kumaragupta. Kumaragupta I, also known as Shakraditya and Mahendraditya, was an emperor of the Gupta Empire from 415 to 455 CE. He was the founder of the Nalanda Mahavihara, or the Nalanda University, a renowned center for learning in ancient India. He was able to rule and retain or keep intact the vast empire which extended from Bengal to the Kathiawar and from Himalayas to Narmada. The Kumaragupta also enjoyed a long reign of more than 40 years. He performed Ashwamedha sacrifices. One more thing to remember over here is that, as we said, he was the founder of Nalanda University, which was declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site on 15th July 2016. That has to be kept in mind. Next, moving on, we have Skandagupta, who ruled from 455 to 467 AD, and he was the last and important ruler of the Gupta dynasty. He was the successor of Kumaragupta I, and he is generally considered as a great ruler of the Gupta Empire. He assumed the titles of Vikramaditya and Kramaditya. He defeated various threats that came from the local tribes in the Narmada Valley. He was invaded by the Huns from Central Asia during his reign, and he was successful in repelling the Huns. After his death, the Gupta Empire began to decline. It appears that the wars adversely affected the economy of the empire, and the debased gold coinage of Skandagupta bears testimony of this. Moreover, we can say that he appears to have the last Gupta ruler to mint silver coins in western India. Um, as we said earlier, he repelled the Huna attack around 455 CE, but the expense of the wars drained the empire's resources and contributed to its decline. You can say that also, like the draining of empire's resources was drained off due to the war with the Huns also led to, or it can be also told as a reason behind the declining of the Gupta dynasty. So, coming to the fall of Gupta dynasty, so what happened? After Skandagupta's death, the empire was clearly in decline, and the later Gupta coinage indicates that their control was very much less to the western part of India after 467 to 469. The Skandagupta was followed by Purugupta in the year 467 to 473, then Kumaragupta-II from 473 to 476, Buddhagupta from 476 to 495, then Narasimha Gupta from 495 to 530, Kumaragupta-III from 530 to 540 CE, and Vishnu Gupta from 540 to 550 CE. Two lesser known kings also, namely Vainya Gupta and Banu Gupta. So these were the successors of Skandagupta who ruled, or who became part of the Gupta Empire before it got completely vanished away, or completely declined. So in the 480s, there was a Huns attack to the Gupta dynasty in the northwest, and much of the northwest empire was overrun by the Huns by almost the 500 AD. These invasions, although spanning a few decades, had a long-term effects on India and brought an end to the classical Indian civilization. Also, it drained off a lot of resources of the Gupta Empire. Soon after the invasions from the Huns, the Gupta Empire started weakening up, and the rise of local rulers like the Yashoda Raman and ended as well. Following the invasions, the northern India was left in confusion with the numerous smaller Indian powers emerging from the crumbling of the Guptas. The Hunas invasions also led to serious damage of the India's trade with Europe and Central Asia. The Hunas invasion disrupted these trade relations, and the tax revenues that came from these India trading relations also stopped, which can also be considered as a factor of the declining of Gupta Empire. The other factors that contribute to the decline of empire include the competition from Vakatakas and the rise of Yashodarman in Malwa. So that are the reasons for the fall of Gupta Empire, which marks an end to the golden era of India. The administration of the Gupta rulers. The empire was called by various names such as Rajya, Rashtra, Desha, Mandala, Prithvi, or the Avani. There was totally 26 provinces which were styled as Bhukti, Pradesha, and Bhoga. The provinces were also divided into Vishayas and put under the control of the Vishyapatis. The Guptas had trading links with the Sassanid and the Byzantine Empire. Then the fold for Varna system also observed under the Gupta period, but the caste system was fluid. The Brahmins followed non-Brahminical professions as well. The Kshatriyas were involved in trade and commerce. The society largely coexisted among themselves. That means there was no caste debar or caste discrimination. Everything coexisted within the Gupta Empire. The prisoners of the war were taken to as slaves, and the slavery existed in the society. And there was a large number of gold coins issued, which were known as dinars, and the silver coins were known as rupiakas. So they were silver coins and gold coins during the administration of the Gupta rulers. Then the society and the religion. So what was the condition of the society, and what was the religion that the people of the Gupta dynasty followed? So mainly Hinduism and Buddhism was practiced, and Buddhism was started to decline. At this time, the Bhagavad Gita was written. And you have the Vishnu temple that was established at this time, which was considered the oldest temple of India. Now, speaking about the society, the trade and commerce mostly flourished during the Gupta rule, and the districts monitored trade between the region. The major produce of the Gupta people were wheat, rice, sugarcane, jute, oil seeds, cotton, and spices. Many people were wealthy during this time of empire, and there was very little crime. Those of the wealth showed off. That means those who had wealth, they showed off with fine jewelry and clothing, and the common folk or the average or the middle level people wore clothing of cotton. And the cities had many advancement in the areas of maths and science during the Gupta rule. The Samudragupta had been a king and was intent on conquering other kingdoms under the ideology Dharani Bandh. Dharani Bandh was the idea of uniting India under one political system. So that was the ideology of Samudragupta that existed in the society. Samudragupta's son also carried the same ideology. The Chandragupta-II also shared the same ideal. So that was the Dharani Bandh was existing in the society. Then the men and women were initially both able to participate in the local government, but soon happened that males were only allowed to participate in the government related matters. Then the social system was divided into caste on the basis of wealth. Men can choose to marry women of lower caste, and women could choose similarly for their partners also. And polygamy was outlawed for both men and women of the royal family. So next is the science. As we were discussing in the earlier slides also, we saw that maths and science had a greater development, or had a great improvement in the Gupta empire. The Aryabhatta was the greatest mathematician and astronomer who wrote Aryabhatta and Surya Siddhanta. He was able to find the value of pi and the length of the solar year as 365.358 days. Then he believed that Earth was a sphere and it rotates around its axis. Then we have the Varamihir who wrote the Panchasiddhantila, who was an astronomer who said the moon revolves around the sun. So if you are seeing the picture which is given here, you can see that in the Gupta ruling India, you have developments in medicinal area, then in the literature area, then in the astronomical area, and also in mathematical area. So it was like a total development for the society. If you see the medicine, you can medicine level, you can see that you had a lot of printed medicinal guides that was available, and there was a lot of advancement in the medical field, where you had the plastic surgery that was done, then the C-sections that was performed, then you had the new diseases that were classified, then you had a lot of plants, the healing plants which was identified during this time. Then talking about literature, the Kalidasa's literature was one of the famous literature in the Gupta Empire, and his literature was mostly based on romance. Then you have astronomy, also the development in the astronomical field also, where the solar calendar was found, and also the uh, fact that the earth is round was also found at the Gupta period. Then like Max was also developing equally, where the value of pi was found out. Then you had the decimal system that was found out, and the concept of zero was also found out. So there was lot of achievements in the Gupta era. So thank you guys. That was a brief description of the Gupta Empire or the Gupta Dynasty, where we saw the various rulers. Then we saw what was the reason behind the fall of the dynasty. Then we saw about the administration, the society and the culture. Then the scientific developments that happened in the empire, like the developments in the field of medicine, maths, astronomy, and then literature. So I hope this brief informational video about Gupta dynasty is helpful for you, and it will be a quick revision for you as the exams are approaching. If you like the video, please do share it with your friends, and also give us a thumbs up, and please do subscribe to the channel Defense IAS Academy. Thank you, friends.